Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. Unfortunately, we're talking about another one of these so-called foreigners behaving badly videos with this one. I thought of making this video after reading a recent article from the Thai Examiner. That's thaiexaminer.com. Article is titled, 29-year-old UK tourist behind bars in Pattaya after punching a 58-year-old Australian to death. Quoting directly, 29-year-old UK tourist arrested in Pattaya after punching 58-year-old Australian man, resulting in his death. The victim, John Max Neal, was a construction worker from Australia. Police continue investigating, but the UK man refuses to cooperate with inquiries. A 29-year-old UK tourist is being held at Pattaya's remand prison after he punched a man in the early hours of Friday morning, leading to the man's death. The victim was 58-year-old John Max Neal, who lived in Western Australia. Mr. Neal worked in the construction industry and originally hailed from Leicestershire in United Kingdom. Police in the resort city, notorious for its sex industry, why do they always say that about Pattaya? Why is that always part of it? You know, it's like, that's not the only thing that's going on down in Pattaya. Now, I know that's a little naive and people are kind of laughing up their sleeves a little. Yeah, okay, come on, Ben. Yeah, we all know that it has a certain reputation, especially from the past, but Pattaya is a big place. There's a lot going on down there. It's not all just, you know, the red light district. The whole city isn't a red light district. Quite a big place. It's very different. Different parts of it operate very differently. In any event, quoting further, police in the resort city, notorious for its sex industry, continue to investigate the incident. However, the UK suspect refuses to cooperate with their inquiries. Well, you know, and that's one of those things. I'm not going to get too deep into this, but as we've discussed in other videos, Thailand, you know, there's due process here. If you're under arrest, you know, there is sort of rights to remain silent and things, but under inquiries, it operates differently. And I've gotten into that in other videos. I don't want to go too deep into that. The only reason I bring it up is, you know, I see arguments to be made for just, you know, you have the right to remain silent, shut your mouth, don't say anything. In this sort of inquisitorial system, again, I'm not advocating that this person do one thing or another or anything, but there are incidents where sometimes just sort of cooperating and getting through something is the best way to do it. That said, in a case involving, you know, a possible murder allegation, you know, I can understand one wanting to be a bit more circumspect. So I'm not necessarily saying it's bad, good, bad, indifferent that this person is quote unquote not cooperating. And again, it's not inherent upon someone to cooperate if it's, you know, detrimental to their own legal interests. So I understand that as well. But again, this is another one of these incidences. And, you know, if anything, if there's any message I can convey, I'm not making these videos necessarily to just try and make Farang look bad. You know, I'm kind of making it because it really does fall into the bailiwick of this channel. It tends to pertain to legal news for expats as well as possibly immigration news for expats. But again, I'm making these videos because I'm hoping to get the message across to foreigners that, look, the more that this stuff happens, and, you know, I'm not saying, look, the notion of communal punishment is just nonsensical. That's sort of what fascists and communists do. But again, when a community that are guests in a given country increasingly get the reputation for quote unquote behaving badly, it can cause problems for that community in the long term. And what I'm hoping by making these videos is people sort of step back when they're, you know, maybe fired up, you know, overly fired up in a situation or something, and say to themselves, hey, if I get into this problem, first of all, I'm getting into a problem in a foreign jurisdiction where I'm dealing with foreign laws, foreign police, foreign practices, foreign procedures. That's not the optimal place to be. But also, you know, if I want to be a long-term member of the community here in Thailand, maybe forbearance, especially on behaving badly, is a good idea. And not just a good idea for me, but for everybody. Because again, at the end of the day, as we've discussed in other videos, you know, policies here tend to move quickly. We tend to see policy shifts happen very fast. Now, policy implementation can take quite a bit longer oftentimes. But once a policy shifts, and if everybody's on board within the bureaucracy, sort of within policy-making channels here in Thailand, once everybody's on board, that policy becomes very rigid. And if that policy becomes too rigid, it can result in negative implications for folks down the road, especially those who could be impacted by those policy changes. So the point of making these videos is my hope that over time, people kind of think a little harder before they make bad moves here in Thailand, and that thereby mitigates the problems for the expat community here in the Kingdom of Thailand.